What's going on YouTube? My name is John. Sorry my eyes are on the road and not on the camera, but we're going on a little bit of an adventure right now to a road stop in the middle of Maryland where I think we're gonna find something pretty cool. Alright, we've made it to the Maryland Service Center an hour and a half later, and here we are, the Rai K in real life.
Wonder Weapon. This is a prototype, right?
What's the point of being rich when you wake up alone? What's the point of going home when it ain't nobody there? Fuck that, I grab my bike and phone home in the air, and I pedal through the city with the wide frame steer, with that tall pale boy that I met last year. Great, that's what I call him. Love, that's what I fall in. Fell in, I ain't like sports growing up, but now I'm ballin'. I guess I'm a late bloomer. Ayo, look, high top bottoms cause the neck on me with them. Golf with Florinos cause we don't do Puma, nah. 20K pairs, going in 3 seconds. You ain't gotta like them and you ain't gotta respect them for playing chess with these niggas. I think that they bench press and leg day is getting skipped. Guess you really running shit. Young Teasy, it ain't easy feeling wheezy in this bitch. New slaves got y'all niggas feeling breezy on the ship. Pour a fan in your poison so it's easier to sip, huh?
I know that montage might have been a bit overblown, but I had to have fun with this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a life-size replica of the Rai K from Firebase. You know, this gun. Yeah! Now, I don't want to take any credit for this whatsoever. I did not make this Rai K. This Rai K was made by Ryan, also known as Noolies, Knacks, who I had the pleasure of discussing how this Rai K came to be. I got with me right now Ryan of Noolies, Knacks, who is the creator of the Rai K in real life. One of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Ryan, you gotta tell me, how did you start making this project?
So it originally started when I was playing Firebase with a couple of friends. I had recently made a Winter's Howl, and I was like, oh, I want to do another project. And I wanted to make an airsoft version of it originally, but obviously that's kind of unrealistic for this model. But I still wanted to make it. So I started modeling up. I think it took me probably 3 days, about 20 hours of work to model it to about the point where it's at now with you.
Yeah, so from start to finish, how long did this behemoth of a gun take to make?
Oh man, so the whole project took about 2 months in total from start to finish. I'd say the modeling process originally took about 20 hours for what you're at, and then I'd say with touch-ups probably about 30 hours. The printing process was about 200 to 400 hours, somewhere around there. I didn't keep too great a track on that. And then the painting, sanding, all that took at least 100 to 200 hours. So in total, it was probably like a 500, 600 hour project.
You can honestly tell just by looking at the gun how much time and care went into creating a replica like this. And it's not as simple as just, say, printing the model and then painting it and calling it a day. No, there's a lot of engineering that goes into really modeling every single part and then deciding how they can all fit together in a gun. It's kind of like designing a puzzle in a sense, where you gotta say to yourself, okay, how do I make something like the magazine right here, and then how do I make that fit in with the base of the gun? Or these gears right here, how do I make sure that they can fit into this tight area right here, get them in, and then make sure that they can all spin independently? Those are the kind of things you have to tackle when you're making this gun, and in a way it's kind of like a feat of engineering. And Ryan had explained to me that every step along the way in making this Rai K was a challenge. You had to first create the model, and well, Firebase Z is so new that there really are no models that he can rip, so what does he have to do? He has to model it by hand. He was going in, looking at in-game blueprints, he was looking at screenshots from the game. My favorite thing that Ryan did in the creation of this Rai K is that he actually went and looked at YouTubers' thumbnails and used them as references as he was modeling this by eye. So then once he has the model ready, it's on to one of the more tricky parts of the process, which is making and 3D printing the parts. You see, it can get tricky, especially in places like these with all the little teeth on them. When you're 3D printing, you're in a way fighting against gravity, especially for freestanding tiny structures like this. What Ryan had to do actually was 3D print and reshape this model 3 different times, because when he was building it, gravity would break off the little teeth. He'd have to make little support structures for them, and then when he's done, go in and remove the support structures by hand along each tiny little fragile tooth. Then there were also bits like this that broke 3 times in the process of making the Rai K. In total, this little gold section here, which is really a tiny part of the gun, and honestly, a tiny part of the total plastic used to make this 3D printed model, this part took 3 times the amount of work as any other part in the entire gun. Then once the model was printed, what Ryan had to start doing was assembling, painting, and then sanding the gun. And this is when it really all starts to come together. And Ryan explained to me this was a learning process. You know, some parts you want it to have a metallic shine to it. Other parts, of course, are supposed to look like wood and really aren't supposed to have a shine, or at least not the same shine as the metal bits. And it was a trial process as Ryan learned how best to paint the gun and make it look as realistic as possible. It got difficult, particularly with some of the part like these teeth right here, going back to them. You see, you gotta paint them by hand, so you gotta be delicate. You don't want to break them, or you don't want to put on too much paint and then it looks globby. And if you do either of those 2 mistakes, back to the drawing board, and you might have to print this one little section for 20 hours again. It's fragile and it's a painstaking, delicate process putting together a gun like this. The Rai K really was a labor of love, and I honestly want to give a massive shout out and a massive thank you to Ryan for letting me get my hands on this Rai K. If you guys want, you can check out Ryan's YouTube channel, where he also made a video on his Rai K. In addition to that, you can check out his Twitter, where he's showing off the progress for other builds that he's working on. And lastly, definitely check out his Etsy shop, Noolies and Knacks. A link is in the description. There, you can actually pre-order your own Rai K if you want, and get your own life-size model of the Rai K, just like this one. And in addition to that, he's also got amazing other zombie replicas. And some of you also might be wondering where I got those perk drinks from my other videos. Well, let me tell you, Ryan's the man. Check him out, show him love. This thing is absolutely amazing. And I asked Ryan what's next for him, and this is what he told me. What's next for you beyond just the Rai K?
So I've been looking at like with the 3D modeling or 3D model ripping stuff in the games. I'm thinking about pulling like maybe the wave gun next, pulling it, not printing it as that, but modeling it based off of a 3D model already to get as much detail and all that. Obviously, whatever new map is coming out next for Cold War, I'm gonna the instant it comes out, I'm getting those, getting some photos and going to attempt to build it as fast as I can.
The race is on as soon as the DLC.
The race is on, man. I'm doing it first.
First in the world on the Easter egg? Screw that. We're looking at first in the world to make the wonder weapon. That's the goal.
Hell yeah.
On that note, this is going to wrap up this video on the Rai K in real life. I absolutely love this thing. I find it just sitting in my room sometimes, and I go and I grab it, and then I start just pretending I'm in the game. It's so much fun, and sometimes I get carried away with it too, because the triggers on it don't actually pull, but I start pretending I'm shooting and accidentally pull on the trigger, and I'm like, oh no, let's not break it. This thing is absolutely amazing. Ryan, you did an incredible job on this, and I want to say thank you so much for letting me get my hands on it. You're an absolute legend. Again, guys, go show Ryan some love. Check out his Etsy, check out his Twitter, check out his YouTube channel. All of them are absolutely amazing. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like, maybe subscribe for more. If you want to support my channel, one way you can do that is by picking up some merch. A link is in the description. In there, you can find things like my Perkaholics Anonymous sweatshirt that feature Perkaholic on the sleeves. In addition to that, you have my Pack-a-Punch hat. Join the Pack-a-Punch gang. That's one way you can support more videos just like this one. On that note, I want to give a shout out to my top tier patrons, Martin, Callum, Caden, Jordan, and Clay. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. A little bonus for my patrons is that you guys can check out the full interview with Ryan on my Patreon. You can also find a link to that in the description. On that note, I'm going to go. Have a wonderful day, and bye.